Hello everyone. In the previous video, we talked about relative clauses using who, whom, and whose, which are used for people. In this video, I want to talk about relative clauses using which, and whose. So we use this for objects or things. Okay, so just want to remind you once again, so we use relative clauses to give some more information about a noun, just like a person or an object. So in this video, I want to focus on the objects, okay? Okay, so let's take a look at these three example sentences. So the first one, the shop which sells mobile phones is newly opened. So for this part, so this is the relative clause, and we are using the relative pronoun which in this relative clause here. Okay, and then example sentence number 2, the car which Jason bought runs on electricity. So I want to tell you that the car runs on electricity, but which car are you talking about? And that's why we have to add, okay, some more information here. Which Jason bought. Okay, and then for the last sentence, the house whose color is red was built in 1929. So for this part, so this is the relative clause. And we are using the relative pronoun whose in this case. Okay, so let's go into details how we form the sentences using relative clauses. Okay, so let's get to know the three relative pronouns used for things. The first one is which, subject form, and the second one, which, the same, okay, but then this is for the object form. And then for the last one, whose, possessive form. I will tell you, okay, so the difference between the two, okay, between the first which and the second which. Okay, so first of all, the first one, the subject which. Okay, so you should be very familiar, okay, so with these steps, two sentences, again, the shop is newly opened. The shop sells mobile phones. I really want to tell you that the shop is newly opened, but you might not know, okay, which shop I'm talking about. And that's why you have to give some more information, okay, so you have to give some more information. So step number 1, the shop is newly opened. And then step number 2, so this, okay, sentence B is the, is the additional information that I want to give to you to tell you like which shop I'm talking about. Okay, so for the shop here, actually, the shop is not a person, so that's not a human being. And that's why we don't use who here, okay, so instead, we are using which. Okay, why do we use which here? So subject form, because the shop here, so this is in the subject's place, right? And then for sales, so sales is the main verb. And then we have got mobile phones here, and this is the objects, all right? But then we are talking about the shop, but not mobile phones, and that's why we have to use which here. So where to put the relative pronoun which? Remember, so we have to put it right after the thing that we are referring to, which is the shop. That means I am going to put which here. And then you just copy and paste, okay, so the remaining words in the sentence. So which sells mobile phones. So the whole thing becomes the shop which sells mobile phones is newly opened. So we are using the relative pronoun which in this case. Okay, so it becomes something like this. The shop which sells mobile phones is newly opened. Okay, so this is how we use the relative pronoun which subject form, okay? In this case. And then let's go to the second one. So which is which again, okay? But this one, object form. Okay, so let's take a look at the difference, okay, between the subjects which and now the object which. Two sentences again. The car runs on electricity, so this is this is what I want to tell you, but I don't know which car you are talking about, and that's why some more information here. Jason bought that car. Okay, and that's why step number 1, immediately we write down the car runs on electricity here first. Step number 2, we look at this additional piece of information. Jason bought that car. Where can you see the car? Okay, yes, okay, you can see the car here. Jason is the subject in the sentence, bought is the main verb, and then that car is the object of the sentence. Okay, and that's why for the car, so we have to use which because this is a thing, okay, not a human being. All right, so where do we put the relative pronoun which? So we have to put which here, right after the thing that we are referring to, which, and then again, you copy the whole sentence, which Jason bought that car. Okay, like this. So do you still remember what I talked about in the previous video? So because for the which here, we are already using this one to refer to that car, and that's why we don't have to mention it again in the relative clause. And that's why you have to take one more step and then you have to cross out that car. So it becomes the car which Jason bought runs on electricity. Okay, something like this. The car which Jason bought, but not which Jason bought that car. So it's wrong. Okay, so you don't have to write that car again in the relative clause. Okay? And then we look at the last, okay, relative pronoun used for thing. So that is whose. Okay, that's whose. We used it. Okay, so we use it for possessive form. I hope that you still remember what it means by possessive. Okay, it means your belongings. Okay, your belongings. So look at these two sentences. Sentence A, the house was built in 1929. So this is something that I want to talk about. Okay, but I don't know which house you are talking about. So can you give me some more information? And that's why I'm giving you some more information here. The house color is red. The house apostrophe s color is red. Step number 1, the house was built in 1929, so this is what I want to talk about. Step number 2, so the house apostrophe s color is red. So this time we are not using the subject which. Okay, we are not using the object which, because whenever you see apostrophe s, that means we have to use the possessive form, which is whose. So we have to put whose right after the thing that we are referring to, whose, and then you copy and paste the remaining words in the sentence. Whose color is red. Okay? So it becomes the house whose color is red was built in 1929. So in this case, we are using the relative pronoun whose, okay, in the relative clause here. Okay? So last time we talked about defining and non-defining relative clauses. Okay? So here, you should be very familiar. Okay, so the main difference between the two, you should be able to tell me that, oh, the main difference between the two is that we are using commas in the non-defining relative clauses. Okay? When do we use defining relative clauses? To give essential information. Okay? So the essential information about something. So the information that we need to know. Okay, we need in order to understand, in order to know what is being referred to. Okay, and that's why no commas, no commas. So the cat belongs to Kitty, but which cat are you talking about? So there are so many cats there. So I am talking about the cat which is lying on the roof. Okay, it belongs to Kitty. Alright, so for this piece of information, this is important and necessary, because if you don't tell me the cat, okay, if you don't tell me that cat which is lying on the roof, I just don't know which cat you are talking about. I just don't know, okay, which cat you are talking about. Okay, so on the contrary, so what about our non-defining relative clauses? We are just given some extra information. Okay, it's not necessary. We don't really need it to understand what is being referred to. Okay, and that's what we have to add commas here. So for this part, okay, again, which means even though you don't tell me which are best sellers, I still know, okay, so what Harry Potter books are. Okay, so Harry Potter books are translated into different languages. So this is the main idea I want to talk about, and then I know what Harry Potter books are. I just want to give you some more information about the Harry Potter books, okay? And that's why I put down, okay? And that's why I put down which are best sellers here to give you some extra information about Harry Potter books, okay? So that's all what I want to talk about today.